You?
Everyone.
Oh, I
Hi,
see.
Ele. Good evening.
Hi.
Uh,
Good evening.
how's it going? How's everyone doing? I hear it sounds like everyone is in reflection mode. Thanks for the introduction, Ele. I am Arsene Malola, and I'm the academic head of the APC program. And welcome you all to our session this evening. Thank you for making the time and the uh, uh, the objective of this session, not only some design of our program and how we've structured it in such a way as to enable your success going forward, and sort of your attempt at the APC exam, but also give you a little bit of a flavor of some of the key features and upliftments we've made from some of our learnings as well as we've gone along. And I think that is an important piece around maybe how some of us are feeling in the session this evening around the concept of development and this continuous improvement and getting better. Because I would like to take a moment to just, I guess, acknowledge everyone for being in the session this evening. I think that's a commendable a sort of feat and achievement, having to sort of face and reopen the wounds of how you may be feeling coming in here and facing it face to face. And really, that's an important part of your journey and how we're going to overcome this. Is you're never going to be able to ignore a feeling or run away from it. It's impossible to fully feel that feeling and then at the same time accept it and at the same time forgive yourself in time, right? It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but it's important to forgive yourself, forgive the system, forgive whatever happened on, on the day, and let go of so feel it. Sorry, I think I lost my connection. I hope I'm back, and please let me know if you can hear me by just sharing a thumbs up on screen. There we go. Thank you. Awesome. Um, 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 and letting go, forgiving yourself, and then taking the time this year to almost objectively um, uh, um, not only identify what went wrong, I think is a common message, but also to have a think about why you thought it was enough last year, but it just wasn't so. Um, and then we can almost maybe also try to reframe what we believe is enough to get over this hurdle of this particular exam. And it leads us to sort of another focus of our presentation this evening, in that the development approach or continuous improvement is something for everyone, something for me, and it's something for the Indonamo program as well. So we're going to spend a little bit of time also focusing on some of the improvements we've put in place from our previous programs, from what we have learned as well from what successful candidates have shared with us, to help you get onto that journey too. And then we'll also end off with a few, because at the end of the day, it's a program. We're going to share what the program's all about. That's all important. But what's also quite important is hearing or sort of seeing it from your peers, people that have walked the journey, and also hearing it from them too, which is another thing that we're going to dedicate a specific amount of time to this presentation this evening. So that being said, I hope you're all ready for the program in a snapshot. Now, I know there's a lot on the page, but we're not going to dwell on this page for too long. This is a snapshot of the APC sort of main program sort of snapshot. And ultimately, what this gives you is a little bit of a flavor in terms of, or you're going to be referring to this document a lot when you join the program. But what I'm hoping to do is give you a little bit of a flavor of what you can expect in the program, just highlighting some of the key features of what we believe is important and why we've designed our sessions in a particular way. And then also sort of cover at a high level some of the sort of support that we've built into to the program as well, to help you along your journey. Well, I say help you along your journey, but rather to say for us to walk the journey together. So jumping into the main program, you're going to be joining into what we call the development phase. Development of what? We're developing professional competence, what you're ultimately going to be assessed on at a psycha level. Most of you in the session are well familiar with the concept of professional competence, and you're very familiar with the structure of the exam. Um, the, Sorry, my network is being a little bit silly, so I think I should be back again. But those thumbs up would be fantastic just to let me know. I'm on my 5G cell phone and it seems to be cutting out. So that's what we're going to be doing in the first sort of session. And I think the key piece also is to align on the certification criteria, is what you sort of understand in the first session, but also sort of the rules of the stack exam and all the terms of the engagements, etc. Then I think the next piece is extremely important. And we actually have a slide for it on the next one, but we'll cover that in a little bit more detail. Not going through the whole thing, but just what it is our NAMO 9-point competency framework. Now, you've heard the word competency framework thrown around sort of all over the place. SACA has a couple post-qualification, pre-qualification. I was saying, oh, in the NAMO 9-point competency framework, what is this framework and how is it different to SACA as well? Ultimately, this 9-point competency framework is what we have designed. And it essentially sets out the foundation of everything. It sets out the foundation of the expectation. Like, remember when I previously mentioned the point around thinking about why you thought what you did or where you were was enough last year, but it wasn't so. Um, Answering that question is sort of the starting point is the 9-point competency framework. Cool, thank you. I'll try that. Thanks, Elliot. The 9-point competency framework. You'll see it on the screen, but ultimately this drives the design of the program because it aligns with SAICA's framework. It drives the feedback that you receive across those 9-point competency framework, so you know exactly how you are doing across those competencies, what you need to do and what you need to improve, and you can have focused conversations on how you need to do that with the mentorship that's available and the consultations as well. We'll cover that shortly. So that will be delivered to you in a series of screencasts that ultimately you can work through in your own time, but it's crucial that you work through all of them sort of super early. Then we have the rest. So another sort of key features that is worth highlighting is how we are going to be walking you through the those competencies. So in the Endonamo program, we believe in not only just walking you through sort of how to identify triggers, what to do, or what you're familiar with. We're not going to dive into the detail of that. But once we walk through sort of the 9 competencies, we'll have sessions that focuses on various competencies. But what's important to highlight around those sessions is our approach to you receiving feedback to your class attempts. So previously, you would have attempted a task in our sessions, and you would have received a marking grid and solution, and you would have self-assessed, right? Done a self-reflection, and then at a later stage, we then have a discussion around your performance. This year, we're introducing AI-enabled marking, so NI, which is our platform that we developed in-house, that is designed and created in order to facilitate real-time feedback that you will be receiving. The platform is created, tested, robustly by the professional team to ensure that the feedback that is given is appropriate and accurate. And the feedback you receive is going to be linked to the 9-point competency framework. It'll be instant, it'll be third-party feedback. And you'll be able to work through your feedback in a report that you receive a couple of seconds after you submit your task attempt. That allows 30 minutes later, after a short break, to then have a sort of session with you, a feedback session, wherein your lecturer will have a overview of the general trends, the statistics of the performance. So they'll have real-time knowledge of the common issues that or common sort of areas of development and the common areas that actually went well in real time, so they can make targeted efforts to give you feedback or focus a session on those areas. And you will have a report that you have time to work through about 30 minutes before the actual feedback session, so you can come with pointed questions and sort of know exactly what you need to focus with as well. We have been sort of using this approach in the comprehensive program, which is currently in the foundation phase, and it's worked remarkably well in making your session very deliberate and sort of facilitating your development through the program. So that is one awesome sort of change and initiative that we're introducing in the program. Yeah. Another important thing to call out is our workshops that we have, and these are designed to specifically address areas that typically come out in sort of the APC assessments as being challenges to successful outcomes. One that comes top of mind is communication skills. So how to communicate as a competent professional, how to deliver a message. A lot of us, we have all the technical knowledge, we have the know-how, we know what we want to say. But when it comes to delivering a message with impact, that's where the wheels typically fall off. And there's consistently feedback that comes back at a cycle level, at a program level, where development is needed. So not only do we have these workshops that are specifically geared towards areas such as communication skills, where we get a third-party communication expert that works with actuaries to address a similar challenge, right? So actuarial sciences, as I'm sure most will be familiar, it's a super complex world of sort of maybe not algorithms, but models specific in the insurance industry. And translating that into simple messages is an area where the external party that comes in it specializes in. So replicating that model with yourselves is one of the key sort of features of the development phase. Couple that with our NI-enabled feedback system. You will be able to, or you can expect in the program to essentially resubmit a task that you would have attempted throughout the program. And the feedback tool will give you feedback that's specific to communication and delivering a message. Our external, the lecturer that's going to come in will get a report with all the trends. And in your session, not only will you be learning and practicing sort of these communication skills, but again, it'll be nice and targeted. Then you have the ability to sort of reattempt the task, right? Implementing some of these new skills that you would have learned, submit it to the platform, and then receive a revised note that almost tells you sort of how you've progressed and sort of areas that you still need to think about. And all of this, remember, is in essentially a couple of seconds of submission and after robust testing as well. The last piece in the program worth highlighting is how, as you all are aware, nothing in this world is static. And one of the core competencies of a professional is that lifelong learning, keeping abreast with everything that's going on in the world. And one of the areas that's really left, right, and center in our current environment and world is the world of all things digital. So this is quite a vast concept, right? So the digital world is now sort of making innovations. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is AI, right? We've been talking about AI for the last couple of minutes, but also things like cybersecurity. Are another examples of sort of this digital evolution that's happening in the world today. The question is, what role do we as chartered accountants or do we as professionals play in this digital world? And that digital world is becoming a big focus area in how, as a chartered accountant or prospective chartered accountant, you will be assessed in terms of how you present yourself in those with those various issues. So one of the key development area and change in our program this year is the addition of digital acumen as a specific competency, not only in our 9-point competency framework, but a specific session addressing digital acumen. What it is, how it is relevant to you as a prospective chartered accountant, as an entry-level chartered accountant, and again, using the same task attempt and feedback system that we are introducing this year, to attempt a task that's has a big digital acumen underpin, and giving you that feedback to assist that development in that area. Another thing that we also including in our session in the development phase is a mock exam or a mock case study, which is a full-on case study to help you with your preparation for the assessment phase. And this full case study, again, will have full comprehensive feedback that you'll receive in the form of a report and in the form of feedback sessions, both recorded and live sessions, to ensure that we have a way forward and things that you need to tick off before you enter the assessment phase, which will in itself will kick off with a revision session. And again, to ensure that you are geared to enter the phase of attempting the 3 case studies, so exams that we have, the baseline, final, and the supplementary, should you need to write it. And throughout the assessment phase, our usual feedback system will be at the core of the assessment phase as well. So we're not like almost just like sending you out there to just sink or swim. We're still with you on the journey. And of course, that NI-enabled feedback system and the reports are also going to be part of the assessment phase. And then sort of moving on, what is there in terms of walking the journey with you, just to close the loop in terms of all of those elements. We've spoken about the live session class attempts and the feedback system. We have a little bit of an example of that a little bit later. But we also have obviously all of the CTA videos. So from a technical standpoint, you have those resources available to you. So you can, when you're doing your research, you're able to rely on those notes and videos if you want to upskill and become subject matter experts in whatever area. And with the private consultations as well as available to help you develop the journey, but for a personalized touch. And also, like I mentioned, the mock exam and reflection. Underpinning all of this, that orange strap at the back, is at the core well-being. As I started the session before going into the details, just that well-being element is so important, right? Sort of how are we dealing with everything mentally, where we're, what space are we in, right? Because that's also quite important, not only in the development, but also when you sit for these exams. So we have a comprehensive wellness hub that includes a caretaking team that is there to take care of your experience throughout the program and anything sort of practical that you may need. We've got coaching and the mentorship, and like I mentioned, that one-on-one consultation as part of that, or rather the coaching and mentorship as part of that private consultation, sort of walking with you. So that is an overview of the slide. I think if we go to sort of the next slide, and I see some questions popping in, but if there are any questions as I go along, please feel free to raise your hand. I'll pause as well to address some of the more academic-based questions. If you have, I see a lot of questions in the chat around some of the support areas, registration questions, etc., administrative type questions. You can sort of pop those as a question in the chat, and the team, as you can see, Dineo and Ele are available to assist with answering those questions. We're not going to go through this whole page slide. This is just almost a snapshot of the 9-point competency framework. And the elements that we sort of focus on and give you not only design the program on, right? You see a lot of words here that are same as the timetable: communication, ethics, sorry, digital acumen, right? Critical thinking, business acumen. You would have seen those words on the timetable. So that's how to show you how we're connecting the competency framework to how we're designing the program. And then also, when you show a little bit of a snapshot of the report that you're going to get, you're going to see how all of this then shows up in your feedback, right? So you can almost connect the dots. I think we'll show it on the next slide. But before we move on, just to close the point, you should consider this page to be your map, right? Your North Star, your guiding light. This is what good looks like, right? When you attempted APC last year, you tried to demonstrate that you are good at these 9 areas. Your approach, what you demonstrated on the day, did not meet the expectations across somewhere in these 9 areas. That has nothing to do with you as a professional, as a candidate. It is just something in your approach, something in that you did, something that you demonstrated, did not demonstrate something in these 9 points. Our task in this year. I think someone's off mute. Mistake or question? Cool. Our task in this year is to identify that gap. So how do you identify a gap? You need to know what good looks like, right? We'll do that. You need to know what you demonstrated, right? And then we need to then connect those. We need to then work together to connect those dots. I see a hand from Mandani. Please jump in. No.
Sure. Thanks, Hassan. Yeah, I just wanted to add on that. Just to say that, yeah, it's really a mind map, or rather a guideline, as you're saying. But I think more importantly, it's one of the things that you're gonna get when other candidates talk to you. It's all going to be about the point of reflection. And in APC, reflection is both crucial, but one of the most difficult things to do. Because the question is always around, do I even know what I did wrong? And for some, I saw that they were talking about time management when we started the journey, to say I knew my time management was weak. But that is fair. But what is more important is, what is the source of the time management? Because time management in itself, one could think about it as a symptom of something that is greater. And it could be that you need to fix something else in order to fix your time management. Maybe it is the quality of your critical thinking. Maybe it is the quality of your business acumen. It is probably the quality of your research. So what we're trying to do here is to say, can we align in terms of what is important for you and for SAICA? Because right now, one of the things that also was coming through is about script review. But what is always going to be important is that you should not look at your script review or script at a high level and say, I've got LC here. Because LC at an APC level are very different. It does not necessarily mean that you'd fail to hit the indicators, but it indicates that there might be some professional competencies that you were not able to demonstrate. And it is quite important for you to avoid repeating the same mistakes. So what we are then saying is that when you join the program, we will then work together on this so that you are able to view your performance from this particular lens. When we give you feedback, we'll give you the feedback in this particular lens. When you write all the 3 case studies, we'll give you the feedback from these lenses. And therefore, it allows you to be laser sharp in terms of this is what I need to work on. Because it's going to be very important after we end this call for you to be able to say, what really happened last year? Do I really know my technical very well? When they were busy talking about leasing, share-based payments, and so on, is it not the reason that this thing maybe got to me? Or maybe it could be that no, you're able to see through the technical, but how were you supposed to package it and communicate it effectively? So that research, that feedback that Hassan was talking about, it will then help you in each and every task. And imagine that when you join the program, you're going to join the main APC program. You're going to have 6 opportunities on a weekly basis to get feedback from these lenses. And this feedback, we are saying, go and use it against your own reflection in the script review before we give you an official script review feedback back. Then you're going to get a mock exam to say that now maybe it was one task you're able to zoom into the process, but now you have now this mock exam, it's got several tasks. How are you going to fare against it? And the idea is that at each and every point, you'll be getting clarity on what went wrong. And you will then, more than anything, get feedback on how to fix it. So it is very important that you then see this particular framework as a tool that will then help you to achieve your success. Because that's the very most important thing. By the time we end the program, by the time we say you are ready to go to the APC, you need to say that I've got a mechanism, I've got a blueprint that will help me to achieve competence at each and every point. So that's what I want you to also just think about, in addition to what Hassan has said, in terms of what? In terms of how to use this particular framework. And he also mentioned that we're always going through a process of what? Updating and rethinking. This is also rethought as well, to just do what? To just incorporate digital acumen, as he was saying, but more importantly, to no longer see research and adoption as 2 different set of skills, but to now be a single set of skill that you need to master. So it is very important that when you are now thinking about where to from here, this becomes your roadmap. And during the course of the program, we're going to help you master it. We're going to help you use it. We're going to help you understand the reports that you have in terms of what? In terms of just how to really build your confidence towards APC 2026. So that is something that I'll want you to really take note of, and you're going to see quite a lot of it when you are part of the program. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to add right there. Sure.
Thank you very much, Radani. Appreciate that. I think that's a good segue to the next slide.
Yes, and I think, Asen, thank you. I just, these are some of the engagement, Asen, on the background, which I've been having with some of our prior candidates, and we're compiling. I was just trying to link it so that the team also gets to understand, or my candidates also gets to understand that what are some of our candidates. For example, you spoke about the different aspects in terms of the communication workshops we have, the critical thinking workshop we have, but it was also great. I see my slide has not moved. But for us, one of the things is always to get to hear from the other candidates to say, what do they say? Because yes, Asen and team can come and say that we've got this 9 competency framework, but to what end? And for us, always when we engage with the candidates who have come through the journey, is to also just to hear how were these things which we've packaged for them impactful in their journey to success. And these are some of the feedback which we've received for the candidates who were successful this year, and even for the candidates who were successful before. And I think one of the other aspects which continuously come up is the is the personalized feedback, is the non-competency framework, which some of our candidates come to just know to say that that's what worked. And I think one of the other aspects which Asen noted was one of the candidate I see. All right, one of the I don't see. Yes, I think I like this candidate's feedback. Kenneth was saying that my problem was never technical knowledge. My struggle was learning how to competently respond to a question in a structured, professional, and exam-ready manner. And I think this is one of the things which sometimes, as you reflect, is to say that, but I don't have issues with the technical skills. I don't have issues with the critical thinking. I don't have issues with business acumen. And as we are different here and we all have to reflect and see, to say that, as I was saying, that for me, you need to have 2 pages. One, what worked, what did not work, and then you can work on what did not work, so that by the time you go to sit in December, whatever did not work, you have addressed that. And this candidate, for me, Kenneth, when I was reading his testimonial, was to say that he kept on going back to say that, but I don't have issues with technical skills. And then you see when Asen was talking about, to say that we also engage with the professionals like Billy, who comes with the communication workshop, to say that, yes, you know your IFRSs, yes, you know your ISAs, yes, you know your tax legislation, but can you communicate it to the next level? When they're saying you need to respond to a board member, what's the difference with responding to a board member maybe who does not understand IFRS, or responding to your CFO? So sometimes these are some of the reflection as you do. And for us, this we consciously take, and we'll also share even across our, as you join our program, we're going to share more of this testimonial so that you also can get, as you reflect, to see what aspect of the program you need to also focus on and what will also work for you. So I thought maybe after Asen, after you've spoken about the structure of the program and the 9 competencies, maybe I can just draw in a snapshot of some what our candidates say has worked and has not worked. But I said, like I said, that this is also about individual reflecting as a candidate, as a professional, to see what has worked and what has not worked, so that you can go back and see where you want to work on, so that as you continue this journey, you see what you need to work on, and what you need to capitalize in the program to make sure that you improve your chances of being successful come December.
Thank you so much, Ele. And I really love the points around, especially smack bang in the middle, using the competency framework as a map. That's also quite incredible. Love that. Before we go on, I've just noticed Zifikile put a comment in the chat here, and it would be remiss to not address it. I mean, first and foremost, thank you so much, Zifikile, for sharing that in the chat. I think quite an important message, and probably maybe others may be feeling a similar way. I wanted to take the opportunity to mention one other thing that you will get as part of this program, is a model, or sort of a bit of a step-by-step to assist you from sort of transitioning from sort of outcome of the exam into the program, right? Because that turnover is quite a significant step in the whole process, and it's crucial from a mindset perspective that you come into the program with the correct mindset, so that you can maximize the opportunities that we'll be speaking about, and just sort of accelerate your performance towards the exam. So in sort of reading, and I'm just going to work through it, and just share a couple of thoughts, at least from my perspective, as I go through it. So the first part essentially covers sort of feelings of confusion, and asking, so if you're asking yourself, sort of using a statistic here, 30% candidates who are deemed competent by board courses don't pass PsyCAM, and are questioning whether or not this means, does it mean the board courses aren't doing what they need to do? Does this mean that PsyCAS exams are kind of doing things?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
that should be sorted. Doesn't mean Psycha is sort of being a little bit unpredictable year on year. And I think the important piece there is that first step that I spoke about before I went into the program, right? So there's a lot of moving parts, right? And that sort of feeling these emotions, like don't almost suppress it, but at the same time, forgiving yourself, forgiving the system, forgiving the day, forgiving the statistics, and absorbing them is an important piece of your mindset going into this sort of development phase. Um, um, the past, the past is the past, but what you can control is what you do towards your goal. Everyone's journey is completely different. Not a single one of those a couple of thousand candidates that sat for the exam, pass or fail, have the same journey. You're on your journey and you can control your journey. So don't let things that have happened in the past, things that you can't change, affect you going forward, affect the things that you can control. So that part, so it's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen in the session. It'll probably happen over a couple of days. But you just need to almost be mindful of that. Sort of to just feel everything that you're feeling, but then forgive it, let it go, and sort of come into the session feeling refreshed. After repeating several times, I wonder both ones the same for whatever. Right. So the next part here, right? This uncertainty makes it difficult to feel confident about my next steps. And that's exactly the point, right? Because if you're coming with all of this, it then fuzzes. You're not going to be able to see what you need to see going into the next phase, right? So that's exactly what's going to happen. You've mentioned before that repeat candidates don't start from zero, which is true, but just keep being unsuccessful. So should I trust my knowledge over the previous programs? And that's exactly it. That's like almost like a key question. Oh, what's going on? I think people are falling off. I hope I'm still here. So I'm going to continue talking. So please give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. Because it seems like potentially the Elia's lost connection. Okay, thumbs up. Cool. Awesome. Trust my knowledge abilities, sort of exactly. So the key piece is now looking at last year. You may have thought that was enough, right? So you've had technical knowledge that you went into writing the exam, and you thought you were ready. So you thought that was enough, but it turns out it wasn't, right? So something happened on the day that it actually wasn't enough. The point is now we're going to have to take you from where you are, right? That your abilities, your knowledge, they exist. They're just not where they need to be. So Renani spoke a lot about that when he came in just now in terms of how we designed the 9-point competency framework, the feedback system, or whatever, or all of those elements that Renani mentioned to help you identify what is enough, what did I think was enough, and then how do I bridge that gap, right? Because exactly, arguably the 2025 PRI was largely the same as the 2024 version. Exactly, right? The assessment approach is never going to be 100% the same. There's always going to be differences. But the objective of the assessment, there's an entire examination committee to ensure this is the case. The objective of the assessment remains the same, right? So that is a key piece that we need to always make sure that we sort of bear in mind. So that is a good observation there. And performance of the client, etc. So that's just to cover off and kind of link some of these concepts into sort of something that we have in the program to help you sort of transition from now into the program, but also just to acknowledge that everything that Zepikile you're feeling is absolutely normal. You're maybe not alone, but I'm hoping that some of this has helped in terms of just acknowledging how you're feeling, take nothing away from that, but also showing you how there is a way forward, and we're going to walk that journey with you. Ele, you want to come back?
Yes, yes. Maybe while they say you must hit the road while it's still hot, Keta is here. I know, Keta, I'm putting you on the spot. and you were gonna come in 10 or 15 minutes. And I thought maybe when the question from Zivikile was coming through, it just reminded me of Keta's journey. And maybe I'll ask Keta, why did you come back to a program after so many attempts? Because I think you may be able to resonate a bit with what Zivikile is feeling, and it's truly, truly valid. But for me, I was like, maybe from a candidate perspective, I don't know if your mic is on, if you're already here, just maybe just that part, and then we can bring back and wrap up before you can come through. Just that part which Sifikile is saying that she is just here confused, say, should I still join a program? What's the difference? And for me, I just would like to understand from your side what kept on going and what made you the decision to continue enjoying the program rather than just yeah. I think I'm gonna pause there. I don't know. I think I saw you somewhere here. Sorry, I'm putting you
Hi,
on the
Eve,
spot.
can you hear me? It's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I think apart from the reality that my certificate was expiring, understanding that there was that shift from the normal, I think APC or the normal way things were done to the CA of the future, the CA 2025. I figured that there's a lot that I don't know because those changes happened after I obtained my first certificate. And I also thought that it would be important to have a support, right? To learn and understand what I've been doing wrong in the other years, because definitely sure I'm not failing because I'm doing everything right. That means there's a gap. So I needed to cover that gap and unlearn what was the bad habits so that I could relearn what I needed to know and adopt new strategies. I think that was the most important, or that's what drove me to go to EEE to get study support or to join a board course. And yeah, I think that was the driving factor for me.
All right. But I think, yeah, thank you so much, Keta, for that. And I think we'll hear more about Keta's journey when she comes through. And I think what we just need to do is wrap up on the next slide for the program. It's the personalized feedback, which Aston was talking about. Rendani, maybe can you take us through this as to wrap up maybe the program structure?
All right, sure. So I think yeah, this is a very important slide because so far we've spoken about the competency framework, right? So we've spoken about how we use it as that map in terms of just guiding you and helping you guide yourself and also your own development, guiding your reflection. But we understand that, yeah, sometimes it may not be so obvious to do that on your own. So we spoke about then the feedback that we give you. So this is just a snapshot of that feedback. So all those 9 competencies that we've shown you, in each and every task, we'll then have something like this, where we say that these were the professional competencies that were what? That were being assessed in these particular tasks. So we then have competency 1 through to 9, as you saw previously. And we will then tell you whether you're achieving them or not. And we will then also indicate if some of them were not applicable here. And this is what we do even on the script review process, because we want to give you a basis for your development. We want to give you clarity in terms of the area of focus. And I always love it when I get into a consultation, someone then tells me that I'm having a problem with technical. And I was like, okay, how did you get here? Because I wrote a case study with 6 tasks. Out of the 5, they told me that this is what I'm lacking on. For me, that's the crystality that you need in order to be able to solve what you are struggling with. Then it doesn't stop there with this particular feedback. On the blue, it is then feedback on each and every indicator to just say that indicator 1, did you get it? Why not? We wanted to give you this indicator, but it was just not quite there. Why was it not quite there? So that feedback on an indicator level, you get to see. To say that I need to solve P5, indicator 1, I need to solve indicator 2, and so on. But it doesn't stop there. The same on a task-by-task basis. We then give you what you didn't do well. And here it is to clarify that if you are saying that, oh, I didn't know I did well technically here, I didn't know I did well when it comes to critical thinking here, then the discussion on what you did well, what you did not do well, and the advice going forward then becomes what? Becomes a guideline, or call it a closed loop, to say that the reason I achieved this is because they look at indicators 1 and 2, and they found that that one helped me to achieve or demonstrate technical competence. So this feedback, we will want you to spend a bit of time on. And that is why when you even look at our timetable, we've got about a month between the case studies, because we recognize that the time it takes us to give you the feedback and the time it takes you to reflect, it's such a crucial point in your development. And we want you to do it as thoroughly as possible. But you then have the tools to do that. And this is essentially what the tool looks like. This is part of then the feedback reports on the class tasks that you see on the timetable, on the mock exam that you will then have before you even get to the case study mode. So that is very important for you to keep in mind. And at this particular point, we recognize that AI would like for you to be there, but you will then get to see that in our call it the eligibility certificate, for certificate criteria, we then say that the human element is something that we are not removing, because there are some areas of judgment, some areas that are really gray, that we need to debate as professionals. So there's still an opportunity for that. So think about AI as our friend in terms of just making sure our English sounds proper, and we then as comprehensive as possible. Because as a person, yes, putting this together might take me a good 15 to 20 minutes. But if then I am able to partner with an AI tool, I can do this relatively in a quick 5 to 10 minutes and I'm done. So that is just something that I just want you to keep in mind. But this is the kind of feedback that you will then be receiving on each and every task that you're going to attempt in this program. So yeah, that is what I wanted to just share on this one.
Thank you so much, Rendani, for that. And maybe before we even proceed to the next one, I just want to see. Right, Terry, is that a question?
The case study package alone, I think it's 150 or so, but it doesn't have many benefits, that one.
Right. So maybe before we even proceed to the next slides, I just want to also take a pause and to see if maybe someone has a question based on the program structure, based on some of the aspects which we have in the program to support you, or any other aspects maybe which were not also responded to on the chat. Maybe let's also just take a couple of hands before we progress to the next slides. Can I take maybe a hand or two, please? Any clarity?